I'm well. How are you, Ivy?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm glad to be here
Same
on
here.
this cold evening. This cold Wednesday evening.
Yes. And I am glad that you're here with us. My name is Angela Best.
My name is Ivy West, and we are both research and instruction specialists at the Howard County Library in Columbia, Maryland, Central Branch.
Yes. And we're here this evening to discuss our Equity Resource Center. It's a special collection here at the Central Branch of the Howard County Library System.
Hey, did you know that we have an excess of, or growing towards, 9,000 books in our collection?
9,000 books and other resources?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. It's crucial to support equity and inclusion. It's not just about the generation of ideas and the generation and the fluidity of who we are, where we come from, what motivates us. Even in terms of social media, all the things that are galvanizing in terms of our civil equities and rights and what we're passionate about. This is why we're here, and this is why we're amassing the collection. So we want to deliver a presentation to you tonight that preaches our significance and why we believe it's important to have an equity resource center.
Yes, and one interesting thing about our collection is that I like that it's for all ages. It's not just for the adults in the community, but it's for everyone.
Yeah, and you think about inclusivity and diversity, all things equity, and it supports individuals regardless of any disparities or income or in all things that are important to us in our community. So
yes.
Shall we get started?
We shall.
Okay.
We shall. We will start with something that the library thought was very important, and that was to develop a land acknowledgement statement. And this was actually developed in 2023, and it was developed with the support of local leaders in the Indigenous community and a member of the HCLS Racial Equity Alliance. And I will invite you to read along with me as I read. We want to respectfully honor the Susquehanna Confederation, who governed, lived, farmed, and hunted on the land now called Howard County. Their nations conceded into land treaties in 1652 and 1661 after English colonizers ended their generational governance and stewardship of the land Howard County is built upon. This practice of land acknowledgement is to honor and respect the Indigenous inhabitants, both from the past and the present. And so this evening we are actually going to be looking at a range of things, and we will start off with the historical context of the Equity Resource Center and the mission and vision of the ERC and the composition of the Equity Resource Center, and Ivy will address those items. And we're also going to look at the themes and topics covered in the Equity Resource Center, where the Equity Resource Center is located within the branch, and we're going to look at past race, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and then we're going to look at future initiatives, kind of giving everyone an idea as to how to find these resources, how to find out what the library is doing in the future. And basically, everything we're talking about is basically geared towards trying to explain to you why this collection is important to you, our customers.
So, as mentioned, the ERC, its origins date back to 2018, when the State of Maryland Task Force for Diversity and Inclusion formed an alliance to bring staff together from libraries across the community and even statewide, and even collecting ideas from other libraries across the U.S. while they were sharing best practices and strategies to promote and support diversity and inclusive practices throughout the state. In the aftermath of 2 years of collecting some research and information about how we could align an ERC from various information professionals, it was decided that this repository of ERC items would be a best approach for gathering and commingling resources. So the repository, as part of the task force, was inclusive of members from the Maryland Library Association's equity, diversity, inclusion interest groups. And alongside member groups such as the SLRC, our mission as part of the HCLS system is to promote and support diversity and inclusion in all Maryland libraries by encouraging affirmation, respect, inclusion, and understanding of library patrons and staff, providing education to all individuals to increase awareness and diversity of thought and dimensions of diversity, as well as sharing resources concerning best practices for creating inclusive environments, which is very instrumental. Subsequent to federal legislation and state legislation, as part of Title V United States Code, and in order to strengthen and embody the federal workforce, it was designed to promote equity, inclusion, diversity, and accessibility, known as an Executive Order 13985, which was to advance racial equity and support for underserved communities throughout the federal government. This established affirmative rights by their, advancing equity, civil rights, racial justice, and equal opportunities, which is the responsibility of our whole government. And of course, we've taken on that responsibility here within HCLS. So I mentioned in September, HCLS, we convened the ERC, and the space comprises of a wide variety of formats, and we remain committed to maintain this broad and inclusive scope. The ERC provided a collection for people to share their stories about bias, discrimination, and racism as mechanisms to steer hope for individuals. And the ERC is an added resource that provides space for the communities to come together, form an alliance, share ideas, and solutions as means to share their people's pride and means for inclusion and advancement of rights. The ribbon cutting that took place in 2021 was really exciting and led to was a means for some individuals who pressed for the return of some initiatives such as Undesign the Red Line, which was launched in 2019, just a few years prior. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with redlining, it was the federal government's initiative to enact housing discrimination along ethnic and racial lines. So as part of our focus to uphold and expand our collection and its role in education and to inspire communities who crave knowledge and advancement, we have equity reads, as mentioned, that follow within the fiction, nonfiction DVDs, TV series dedicated to educator communities. In addition to the aforementioned collection, we have music CDs, there's folk, jazz, Latin, R&B, and a world collection. We also house a number of documentaries on behalf of the arts and entertainment, historical programs, and PBS, and they're, again, chairs and tables. So those of you who want to come and relax can do so with a cup of latte for your convenience and comfort.
Yes.
So the ERC, again, I mentioned the Undesign the Red Line that unveiled itself prior. The ERC was very much an impetus following the murder of George Floyd, and many Black men and women, and of course other groups, whites, Hispanics, brown and Black, who came together to push for and against police brutality. George Floyd was a Black man who died in 2020 in the aftermath of racial violence and led by police brutality. And again, community leaders and members began to ask ATLS to lead in the learning and advancement toward healing. And these abuses were predicated on the footholds of multiple women's movements and the fight for gender equality in 2021, which these fights are very much still alive today. So we're pressing on, and the reads substantiate that. So as part of the critical crux or themes that we like to embrace strewn throughout the ERC is that of Black History Month. Many of our collections are written by and about African Americans and the African diaspora. The attention of African Americans and the Black History Month that's celebrated during the month of February was commonly about and strewn throughout the U.S. history, where enslaved people who brought their literature from Africa in the early 17th century to African Americans in the United States today. The holiday consecrated by and idealized by Carter G. Woodson, who was deemed the father of Black history and set forth to designate times to promote and educate Black people, history and culture. Carter G. Woodson actually wrote Miseducation of the Negro, which is actually one of my favorite reads. You should read it. He's a historian and president. He was a historian and president of the Association for the American African Society Life and History. And there, again, a number of collection and great reads that you should come and visit. Be highly motivated by some of those.
Definitely. So as you can see, the history behind the establishment of the Equity Resource Center has been long in coming. And so when it was established, one of the things that was recognized is that the Howard County Library System made sure that all of the voices of authors, producers, and the viewpoints of those from underrepresented groups were heard. And the underrepresented groups that are primarily spoken about are African Americans, our Asian American brothers and sisters, the Indigenous people and Native Americans, Italian Americans, Jewish Americans, our Latinx community, and the LGBTQIA plus community. So the ERC has books and collections that basically allows these voices and perspectives to be heard. And the collection allows you to read more about people like yourself or about another group of individuals. So it allows you to see things from a different viewpoint. The collection also covers a range of topics. Some of these Ivy had mentioned before, but just for we'll repeat them again. Ableism, anti-Semitism, gender and gender identity, the history of race and racism in Maryland and the broader US, immigration and emancipation, law enforcement and criminal justice, and racial discrimination. And what you will find is that some of the items in our collection don't just cover one aspect of those topics, but you may find something, for example, that covers more than one topic. So you may find something about gender identity, but within the context of racial discrimination. So you may find some of our items covering more than one topic, which may be quite useful, like if you're studying and you have to do some research. Within the Equity Resource Center, and indeed within all of our 6 branches, when various months of recognition approach, we have special displays. And within the Equity Resource Center, we have displays as well. So during February, Black History Month, please come see what we have specially highlighted for us. In March, Disability Awareness Month, Women's History Month, come in March and see what we have on display for disability awareness and women's history. In May, Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. In June, Pride Month. In November, Native American History Month. For these months and other occasions, we have displays within the Equity Resource Center that make it easier for you to find the materials about these events. So no matter what the month is, come into the ERC and see what we have. The ERC is, as we had mentioned earlier, housed here only at the central branch of the Howard County Library System. It is considered one of our special collections here at the library, and it was recognized that given the range of customers that we have, that the collection should also be specialized. So we have a collection for adults, we have a collection for teens, and we have one for children. And the collection is divided into 3 parts of the library. It's found in 3 parts of the library. So downstairs on the main floor is the Equity Resource Collection that's geared towards children. And I must confess, it is a very attractive collection. It's very colorful, so that it attracts whether you're a pre-K-er or whether you're someone in elementary school and you need to find an easy reader book, or if you are a chapter reader already, and you're in 3rd grade, 5th grade, we have chapter books as well in the Equity Resource Center in the children's section. And similarly, in our teen collection, which is also found on the main floor, the teen collection is for those who are in grades 6 to grade 12. Now, we all know that a grade 6 interest is different to a grade 12. I mean, we don't necessarily want our grade 6ers reading what our grade 12s are reading, but in our young adult collection, it includes a range of fiction and non-fiction titles for the 11 to 18 age range. So come on in, see what we have in the young adult section, and you will find something there for you. Upstairs on the top floor is where the bulk of the adult collection is, and you will also find your movies, your DVDs for all ages upstairs as well. You would also find your music and your adult books on CD, your movies, your documentaries, fiction and non-fiction titles for adults. All of these are upstairs in the Equity Resource Center. So please come on in and see what we have to offer. There's something here for everyone. A lot of us who work here, we have the same problem. You go into the Equity Resource Collection Center and you see so many titles that you wish you had the time to read. And I find that the non-fiction titles are so deep. They're our selectors have really taken the time to find books that are as well researched and well written and are solid. On all the topics that we have mentioned, on all of the areas, and they're really very, very good.
And we're on the heels of, as mentioned, we talked about African American History Month, which is just a few weeks away. It's January, it's going to be February before you know it. So we have a growing collection of books about Martin Luther King. There are books by Ta-Nehisi Coates and James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, just a massive collection of very great books. Alice Walker.
All of those historically well-known names and a lot of new up-and-coming Black authors for Black History Month. We really have it's very diverse.
So as part of that, and just going back a little bit, we talked about where the ERC comes from, where it stems from, how it emanated, how it came together, and what we condemn. So as part of some of the initiatives is what's called Brave Voices, Brave Choices initiative that launched in Howard County, and as part of a message from our president, CEO Tonya Akins, it is a voice that is conducive towards condemning racism, xenophobia, misogyny, hatred, and racial and gendered violence themes and forms against all people. ACLS, we believe in standing against racism and hatred every time it's in the midst of our ecosystem. And we strategize to enact change until America Promises ring for people of all ages and backgrounds. We believe, as part of this collection, that it inspires and helps educate those who want to understand what that means and what it looks like. The Brave Voices, Brave Choices initiative covers and includes brave stories as part of to challenge and triumph change and throughout the community. There's Brave Alliances by members of the ACLS Racial Equity Alliance, as mentioned. There are Brave Resources with which to continue an equity journey with suggested titles and resources. And there are events, some of those that I mentioned, such as Undesign the Red Line, those that have come and passed that support upcoming events that we uphold and want to take part of. Some of those events, Angela will actually dive into now.
Yes, thanks,
Yeah.
Ivy. One of the more recent written publications that came out of the Brave Voices, Brave Choices discussions was a paper called Inequity Within: Issues of Inequity Across Communities. So this report was published in 2022, and it identifies the inequities within Howard County in the following 5 areas: education, health, economics, housing, and the legal system. And one of the key statements in the overview of this report is that communities high in diversity do not necessarily translate to being racially integrated, equitable, or inclusive. While Maryland has seen an increase in the diversity of its population, issues of inequity, discrimination, segregation, and disparity still exist.
Okay.
So that was a statement that the report made that I think kind of like was a key as to one of the reasons why this report was done. And the research is to be used to increase awareness and combat the existence of racial disparities in various communities. And the report it is hoped that it will prove useful for library systems, school systems, boards, commissions, local officials, legislators, and residents across the state. So, other initiatives that the library has within the area of diversity and equity are book clubs. Mm-hmm. So we have actually 25 book clubs across all of our branches, but 6 of them in particular specifically refer to these underrepresented voices that we spoke about earlier. So we specifically have a book club called Asian American Literature. That one is an online-only book club. So if you're comfortable staying at home and having a discussion online with other fellow persons who are interested in reading Asian American literature, please join us. We also have a Black fiction book club, which is held at one of our branches, and that's actually a hybrid class. You can actually go in person or you can go online. We have Global Reads, which is held at our Miller branch, and they make an effort that they choose literature from around the world. We have Noontime, held here at the Central branch, and that book club also makes an effort to choose literature from around the world and covering a range of different topics that would be of interest to all. Then we have Reading Human Rights, which is held at different branches. It actually rotates among the different branches. And then there is Reads of Acceptance, which is another online book club. And a special note about that Reading Human Rights, that is actually a monthly book club that is hosted by the Howard County Office of Human Rights and Equity and in partnership with the Howard County Library System. And they discuss books that promote cultural awareness, diversity, and equity. So these are some more initiatives that the library has in the area of equity, diversity, and inclusion.
So we talked a lot about events and about some books, and I'm going to highlight a few more books and items that we have that highlight the diversity of collections in our ERC. Another is very notorious, that of the 1619 Project, which started as a project as part of the New York Times, and it was built to recognize and stimulate discussion around the 400th anniversary of the arrival of the first documented ships, while enslaved people migrated from Africa to the U.S., to the New World, and the Caribbean and South America. There are other items, such as I mentioned, The Color of Law, written by Richard Rothstein, who is a leading authority and visitor of the Howard County Library System. He is a research associate at Economic Policy Institute and has written a book about the explosive myths and allegements of the U.S. federal government and state government on housing policies, and that's part of our ERC collection, which is very vast.
Yes.
Color of Law makes it's a very stimulating discussion, and as mentioned, Undesigned, the Red Line was a very hot topic and an exhibit that our library and our customers really focused and appreciated because of its vast examination of some of the housing laws, and of course redlining was very prevalent in the Baltimore region.
Yes.
So once again, those are just some of the reads that we have. So we come to invite you and hope you'll come visit the ERC. And we have a very diverse database. So even if, again, as Angela mentioned, when you visit our website, hclibrary.org, we have an equity hyperlink. You can visit the site. You can look at the vast collection of books even prior to coming to the library and see what we have online. So even if you don't come to our branch and see it in person, feel free to visit our virtual collection where you can access some of the books online and use it via Libby or other electronic resources, and you can use and access our audiobook selection. So there's a diverse way of accessing all the reads that we have. So
yes,
to celebrate your history.
Definitely, definitely.
So I think that's it, unless we have other news to share.
We don't. I think we've come to the end.
Yeah.
I think all that's left for us to say is to please come on in.
Yeah.
See what we have.
Yeah.
I think the best way to get a better grasp of the collection is actually to come in, because I think when you come in and you touch the books, you see our displays. I think you get a better grasp of how vast the collection is and how varied it is. And we encourage you to let your friends, your family, your neighbors, your colleagues at work, let everyone know what we have to offer, please.
Yeah, I concur. So please, again, visit in person, or again, come visit hclibrary.org and visit the equity selection section hyperlink, and you can filter by race or by equity or other genres to get information and more. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Come again.
Thanks.
I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.